with SPSS. And we're going to go straight away to SPSS now and begin to get things done. So, but the first thing we are going to do is to familiarize ourselves with the SPSS environment, after which we'll experiment with how to do a few codings so that we can key in some data as well to use it for what we intend to do today. Apparently, what we want to do today is to see how we can locate missing values and then see how we can fix missing values as well to an extent. So those are the three major things we're going to do today. And I can assure you that I'm not going to take your time. 40 minutes, we should be fine. Fine. So I'm launching my SPSS now.
Okay.
I'm apparently using SPSS 15. Don't mind me. For my thesis in 2015, I actually used 20. So, but I lost that on my computer. So, but to be able to demonstrate this to us, that's why I quickly loaded the SPSS 15 evaluation version. So this is your page, the SPSS page, which we are going to be demonstrating what we have to do. This is more or less like this grid line, like you normally have in Excel. You know, we have the vertical and oriented, horizontal columns and things like that. So if you look at it, on top of this page, here, you see var, which means variable can stay here, variable can come here, variables here, variable here, variable here. And then from my left to the right, if you see that numbering, you will see a numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So each of those numberings represents each case. Case has to do with each questionnaire. Each questionnaire, not the question on the questionnaire, but a full questionnaire representing the full case for a single person that completed your questionnaire. So you see a number of them. So when you see a number of cases running up to say 50 or 30 here, for example, then you know that the total sampling size, which you have coded here, is 30. So I like us to just, and then if you look at this environment again, below here, you will see data view and variable view. You see data view and variable view. So the data view is there, but you don't start coding with the data view. You start coding with variable view. Variable view is the environment where you define your variables. And after defining your variables in the variable view environment, you then go back to data view, where you key in your data. But I think for now, the first thing we're going to do is to see how we can key in one or two variables here, how we can define variables here in variable view. Are we still together? So when you have that, the rest is for you to now define all other parts of the variable. I have my age here. The label here is full description of what that thing is. So the full description of age is also age. You can say age of the respondent if you want to just write it in full. But most of the time, I always like to put maybe Q1 in a name, small q, Q1. If you like, you can put underscore to separate it so that Q1 stands for question 1. So that by the time you are searching or you want to do your manipulations or you want to do your analysis, it will be very easy for you to know that, oh, this is my question 1, this is my question 44, rather than you searching for that particular name of the variable. So in my gender here as well, I will go under label and put gender as well, to maybe for further description, gender of a respondent, or just gender as well. Again, you leave it like that. Like I said, I always like to put Q. I can say Q2 here as well, underscore, gender. And I can also say Q3, like my question 3 qualification, my Q3 here as well, and Q4 rather. Q4 to represent the experience. So here again, I jump to say highest qualification. Highest qualification. Other description of my experience here is, I want to say, internet experience. So at least by the time you are coding it, the reason why you need to make this explanatory is that you may be dealing with large data set running to, like, say, 5,000. And you may not be the only one that will do the coding. You may not even be involved in the coding. I mean, sorry, in the keying of the data. But then you want to code the template for those that will key in the data. So as you key it in, they won't be calling you each time and say, please, what does question 1 mean? What does Q1 mean in all of it? So that's why you have to define it on the label. So now let's go back to age, the first variable, which is age. You can see that when you write age, the type of age you want to write, do you want to write it in category or you want to write it as number? So if you write it as number, fine, it will be numeric. All of these one, or you ought to have done this in I think some of you ought to have taken you through this in terms of the different types of variables that we have and things like that. But let's continue. So it's numeric here. And then the width that is allowed, let's give it 8 digits. Ordinarily, you don't need more than 2 or 3 digits to key in age. Age, the maximum you can have is 900. If you can have anybody who is up to 900. So we normally leave it as default. And then the decimal, you don't want any decimal for your age because you can't have 30 years. You can't have 30.2 years. No. So if I were you, I would just make this, and the label is there already. Then the values, do you want to input a value? You don't want to input a value. You just want to leave the value blank such that your respondents will just key in the values. So, but then I will still explain the categorization again, maybe when we get there. Not necessarily today. In case you want to categorize age from, say, 30 to 40 and things like that. So you just make the list here. But that's not what we want to do today. So missing, still leave that out. We are coming to that. And then when you get to measure, we have a number of measures. It can be scale, ordinal, nominal, and all of that. In this case, this is scale. This explanation ought to have gone before now as well, not necessarily by me, but by, it's in the course content. But let me quickly drop it here for you. Now, scale has to do with anything that has to do with numeric, that is numeric, numbers. You want to capture a number. You can also see that there is what we call ordinal. Ordinal means it's your variable in a particular order. Take, for example, now the age category. Oh, sorry, qualification of respondents. For example, somebody who has a PhD, it will be rated higher than somebody who has a master's. So higher than those who have a first degree. So when you are doing qualification, for example, you're going to go there now. What is required for you, the kind of measure you are dealing with, is ordinal. So in a situation where you're dealing with gender, for example, you are dealing with nominal. Because whether you pick male or female, it doesn't have anything to do with their standard. If you are a male or a female, there is none that is greater than the other by that variable. So it is just normal. It is just nominal, just ordinary, just leave it like that. So that's why you have this measure. So for now, let's leave that. So you go to gender as well again and complete. Gender normally is male or female. So you have gender, you go to your values here under gender. Once you click values, this is where you're going to specify maybe 1 for male. You had that. And then say 0, let 0 represent female. You had that as well. And you click OK. So and you click OK. So the next thing now is to specify whether your gender is the measure of your gender. Is it going to be scale, ordinal, or nominal? So what do you think it would be? What will be the measure for your gender? Yeah, what will be the gender? If you are still, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, sir. Gender now will be. So, gender now should be nominal.
Fantastic. So that should be nominal. So for qualification now, qualification, it's we want to categorize qualification. Like we want to start, say, from PhD. After PhD, we are talking about highest qualification. Somebody who has a PhD will ordinarily have a master's and will ordinarily have a BSc as well, or a first degree. So I am not expecting them to make a list of all the degrees that they have made or they have obtained, but rather I want them to only quote the highest certificate, the highest certification or qualification that they possess. That's why it is usually called highest qualification. So the next thing now is to go to your values as well. You come into values here, click there, and then begin to define. Make 5. Let 5 represent PhD. You have that. Let 4 be the masters. You can see that I'm not putting MSc or BSc. I mean, I'm not putting MSc because we have a number of masters. It could be MEd, MSc, MBA, and all of that. So the general name for that postgraduate degree is masters. So that's why it's always good that so that your coding can be well organized. Then 3 also for say degree. You can also see that you not put BSc, BA, BEd, BTech, and all of those variants. So 3 now represent, and if you look at these, all of these things are in a particular order because we have believed that PhD is more. In this coding, we have rated PhD to be high, or to be the highest, followed by masters, followed by degree. So that numbering is not just arbitrary. It is intentional. So 2 now say diploma, whether HND or diploma is diploma or any 6-month program. Then 1 to represent secondary education, secondary certificate, and then maybe 0 to say no education if you like. But let's just leave it as 5, and then you just say okay. Once you say okay, you go there. Then the last one, which is not the list, is experience. Experience here, it's how do you want to capture the experience? Let's just say experience in number of years. So if you like, you can put it here as well so that it can be guided. Internet experience in years. So they were also going to just type it in. I don't want us to categorize as well. So in that case, like I said, the qualification here, if you look at the measure for qualification, that is not correct. So you have to change the scale to ordinal. You come to experience area as well. Again, what you have here is let's make it scale. I think it's fine that way. So you are now done with your coding. You are done with your coding. The next thing now is to go to your data view, where you begin to key in your data. If you look at this now, we now have 4 variables. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, 4 variables at a glance. So it is very easy for us to know that our Q2 here represents gender without having to go back to our variable view to look at what Q2 or Q3 stands for. So let's begin to key in our variable. This is just arbitrary. So the age is 23 here. I think let me key in data for the first case, which represents our first questionnaire. So I take the age, the respondents puts 23 years. The gender, the respondent said that it's a male. If you look at this, there's no drop-down menu here. But there is a button here, is a toggle button, is a value label button. Once you toggle this, your drop-down menu will come here because you have categorized it. So the respondents for that case 1 said that he is a male. I just click on male. The qualification, you can also see there's a drop-down menu also for the degrees we have highlighted. He's a master's holder. And then the experience, he said he has 2 years experience. So we are done with case 1. You move to case 2. Let's say the guy is 25 years or the lady, and the respondent said that, oh, I'm a female, and then I only have a 1st degree, which is fine, and then I have 4 years experience of internet. Then the next person says I'm 19 years old, and I am also a female, but surprisingly, I have a master's, but I only have 1 year experience in the internet use. And then another one says he's 32 years, and there is a male, and on his list, he said he's just a diploma holder, but then he has been using the internet for about 6 years. Next one, the 5th one here says that he is 40 years old, a female, for example, and she has a PhD, so it's expected. And then she has been using internet for 8 years. Another one says that I'm 38 years old, I am a male, and I have a degree, and then I've been using internet for only 3 years. Another one says that I now picked another questionnaire. Ordinarily, you are expected to have numbered your questionnaire before you begin to code. So when you have numbered your questionnaire, ordinarily I normally put ID for each of the questionnaire. So I will have numbered all my questionnaires and then put the same corresponding number in my coding. I've not done that here, so but let's just move on. So in the assignment that I've already given you, which you are going to be submitting next week, I expect you to put ID for each of the questionnaires, for each of the completed questionnaire. So the next one now, I want to pick the 7th questionnaire, which is already completed, and the respondent said that he is 28 years old and a male. He is a secondary school holder, and he has been using the internet for only 2 years. Another one here says he is 45 years old and a female. Okay, a male respondent, so that I will not be accused that I was giving the. Okay, that's fine. And said he's a master's holder, and then has been using the internet for 9 years. So another one here says that this 35 years old female, and who has also a PhD and be using the internet for only 3 years. Another one says that it's 47 years old, 47 years old male, and he has a secondary school and 2 of that. So let's say we have that 10 data set, but I think I want to make everything okay. Now you can then save. I want to save that my data set. Let me just put it on desktop for now and say TPD 507 data set, TPD 607 rather data set. Give it any name of your choice. This is what I have on my desktop, so that at least it can be handy for me. So I'm going to go back to my data. And what I want to do now is I want to toggle this button again to take me to numbers alone. So once I have the numbers, this is just for demonstration. Because I want to have as many as possible, I just want to copy this and duplicate so that we can populate the environment. You can populate it just for a hypothetical example. Let's say now I want us to have 50. And then I can then change a few things, a few parameters, so that it won't look as if it's the same also. Just to change a few parameters, change a few parameters. And then let's say this is 0, representing female. This is 0, sorry, 0 representing female. This is 1 now in this case. 0 now in this case. And I come here again, so that by the time we are running it, it's not going to be the same. 2, let's say this is 3. And the last one here, let's say I have 2, I have 5 here, I have 3 here, I have 3 here, I have 7 here, I have 2, okay, 2 here. So now, if you come to think of it, the total number of cases that we have here now is 50. Don't forget, what we intend to do is to see how we can identify missing values. So we have assumed here now that we do not have any missing value, but we are going to deliberately create missing values in our system, in our data set, because like we discussed, there are so many things that can culminate into you having missing values in your data. So I remove 40 here. I'm going to remove another thing here, maybe 35 here as well. Let me remove one more. I remove this here as well. So in this variable as well, I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove this as well. I have 2 that I remove. I'm going to remove one here as well. Remove this one as well. I'm going to remove this as well. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove this. So this is what we have. So if you look at this one now, you find out that on item 5, the case 5. Now you find out that on case 5, we have 1 missing under age. If you look at case 7, there's also one missing under gender. But if you have multiple of huge data sets running to 5,000, like I said, 10,000 or even 20,000, by inspection, you cannot fish them out. Then how do you then identify where the missing variables are? There are ways to undo this. The first one I'm going to introduce you to is to go to your transform. Go to transform, compute variable, and then let us say that we want to deal first with age. We want to deal with the missing values in age, in our variable age. You come here to click on all. After clicking on all, you will have what we refer to as, you then look for missing here, under here. Missing is a function. You double click that, leave it as it is, then come here and drop your age inside a bracket. So as you drop your age inside the bracket, you click on you put a target variable name, another name, because it's going to create another whatever for you. So put age missing, just something like that. Any arbitrary target variable. So you just click OK. Once you click OK, another variable will be generated for you, which has been added here. You can see that we did not have this one from the beginning. The system just generated it. So you are going to go to, and then we look at it very carefully. When you look at one here, that shows that this particular case is missing. The corresponding case here is showing that there is a value that is missing along the line, which is especially in age category. So you look at one again, you get to one here, you find out that it's also missing here. You scroll down again, where do you find one? You find one here, you can see that it's also missing here. So if I were you, I can then go back to the variable view to change this decimal to discrete, so that you don't need decimal, you can see that at a glance. Come to variable here, and then look for that new variable that is created for you or generated for you, and then go to the decimal number and make it 0. So once you have that, go back to your data view, and what you will see is either zeros and ones. You can see very clean. So you can then this way now identify that, oh, my age has a missing number here, another missing data here, and things like that. So what you can do is to, because you have multiples of these, by inspection you will not know how many numbers of those variables or cases have missing numbers. So what you just need to do is to now do a frequency count for the age missing. You now go to your analyze, say descriptive, and say frequency. You come here, don't forget you won't put age again, the first one. You carry age missing and then say put it into the variable list. Okay, that. And what you find here is if you come down here, you'll see the number of ones. How many do we have? 3, which represent 6%. The number of ones here is 3 out of 50 total, meaning that we have zeros to be 47. So what this is saying is that we only have 3 missing numbers in that case. Let's go back again and do the same for for another variable, maybe for the next variable, which is gender. Next variable here is gender. Let us see how many missing variables we're having. So you come in here again and say transform compute. You can clear this, you can reset this, and look for all. Go to missing. Go to missing. Double click that. It will bring it in here, and then go to your gender. Fix in your gender inside there, and give it another file name here, and then a new name that will be generated. You just say gender missing underscore missing. So okay that. Once you okay that, you go back to your variable view, and then you can see it's already generated for you. Like I did the other time, you can also convert all these 1.0, 0.00, convert it to normal discrete numbers. So you just go to your variable view and come under here and remove the decimal, make it 0. Change the decimal to 0. And when you view it again here, you can see you only have zeros and ones. So your target is to see how many of those that are 1. I mean, how many ones do you have there, which represent the missing number? So here we only have 1 here, which corresponds to the gender here, which means a value is missing here. You look for it again. Where again can you find 1? Is it only 1 here? Oh, okay, 2. There's another 1 here. So which means this is having 2 missing data set. That is one way. Then don't forget, you may like it's possible for me to count it by inspection, because I don't have too large data set. But in a situation whereby you have 50,000, 20,000, you cannot use fingers. You cannot do just by inspection to count. Like I said, all you have to do is go to your descriptive, analyze descriptive frequencies, and run the frequency of that new variable emanating from gender, which is will now give you the summary of that. So you come here, you find out that we still have valid 50 cases, and then the number of missing numbers are 2, 1, 2, 0, 48, meaning that those zeros are the ones which data were completed, which values were inputted. So the missing ones here are referred to as only 2. So you go back to your data set. So you then look for another way. Let's say we can clear this now if you like. We can clear this now. Let's say we're done with this. Clear this. You want to use another method to check or to investigate whether we have missing values. Another thing you can do is to run straight away the frequency from here, from your analyze descriptives, and then go to your frequency. Reset that, and then click. Let's say we want to run for all the 4 variables, or let's say 2 variables. Just accept the default. It's also possible for us to change a number of things here, but I think for now, let's just accept the default. So what do you say here? A summary of the 2 variables. Okay, let me close. We have done so that we have fresh page, fresh output. So what we see here is age of respondents. You can see there are 2 variables that we computed here. We have the age of respondents and gender. The valid cases here for age of respondents stood at 47, whereby we have 3 missing values. And then the value for the total number of completed values for gender here stood at 48, while we have 2 missing values. So if you want to look at percentage representation of the missing values, you come down to, this is for age respondents. This is for age. And if you look at the percentage missing value here is 6. You can see missing system here is 3, which is 3/50. I mean, the percentage of 3 in 50, which gives us 6%. And if you look at for this also, for gender, the percentage of missing here is 4, which is a function of the total number of cases over the number of missing, so which gives us 4. So one thing you have to look out for here, because at the end of the day, the essence of us looking for the missing numbers is not to just inspect them, but the purpose is to fill them up with a value so that we can compute it with what we have to do. So the percentage for this one is 4%, which is in line with replacing missing values with a series mean. But once your series mean is more than 5%, like we have here, you cannot replace its value by series mean. Do you get that? I'll come again. Series mean specifies that you can replace the missing values by the series mean algorithm, which we are going to see. But once your percentage of missing values is more than 6%, which in the case of age of respondents, you cannot use series mean to replace the values. So you have to look for alternative means to replace the missing values. But in the case of this 4, which is apparently less than 5% threshold for gender, which this one then specifies that you can use series mean to fill up the missing values in gender variable. So let's now see what we want to do here. let's see how we can first of all code our missing variables. We need to code our missing variables. The step is to go to transform the code into same variable. This is variable age, this variable gender, this variable whatever. So the missing variables there, like we said, I think this one is free. So we want to replace the missing variables here. We want to code them. And how do you do that? You go to transform. We want to recode into same variable. That same variable meaning that we don't want to generate another set of variable and put the code. But within this same variable, go and insert the missing number. The number I want to specify as the missing value, go and insert it wherever you find wherever you do not find any data, wherever you find missing value. So you are going to say recode into that same variable age. If I click recode into different variable, it will generate another variable for me. It's also possible. And then your existing age variable will still be remaining. But in this case, I want to recode in the same variable. So I click there. Once I click recode into the same variable, let me do it for age. I click age and I click old and new values. I just want to put you come under system missing here and put a value, say -1. -1, I am assuming that in all of your data sets, especially within age, there is no way you can have -1 as the age of a person. So you put -1 like a mark to specify the missing data. Then you add that. Once you add that, you just click continue. To click continue, you say okay. And as you say okay, you go back to your data view and inspect. What do you have here? You already have your -1 already inputted automatically. You already have your -1 also inputted automatically. So we're going to do the same thing for other variables. Let's go to gender, transform, recode into same variable, release this. Gender, old and new. Don't forget, you are going to select system or user missing. Put your -1 here as well. Add that. Click on continue. Once you get back to your new variable, what you find in those missing area, you find -1 already inputted. -1 already inputted. -1 already inputted where there are no values. So you go again. You do the same for qualification. Recode into same variable, but I don't want to do that now because of our time. Now you will find out that SPSS system will treat your -1 like a value when it's doing its computation. But in that case, it is wrong. So how do you then tell SPSS that this figure you have specified, the -1 you have specified, is a missing number? You go to your variable view and then click on your age as a variable. You now come here and see missing. Under this missing, you click here and then click, you say no missing value, that is default. You then go to discrete missing number and then put your -1 here to tell SPSS in the internal system of SPSS that -1 is now declared as a missing variable. When you click OK, you wouldn't see any change in your data set. But then it's actually, let me do something now. Let's do something now. Let me go back and remove that. Let me remove this and make it no missing. And then we'll now calculate, we'll do frequency counts. We'll do frequency. Here for age, descriptive frequency. Let us run a frequency for both age and gender. Once you click that, we'll see the difference. We can map out the difference here. The missing number here is 0 because it is counting for age. Can you see? It is counting that -1 like we have in our data, which is supposed to be missing number. In a data set here, it is counting it as a value. So that's why over there in your result, that's why we're having 50 and no missing values for both variables. But now let's go back and complete the computation. the specification to SPSS that our -1 represents missing value. So you come back to your variable here and say under missing here, variable view, that's where I am. You click here and then you put discrete number, missing number, you put your -1 here. You click OK. Let us do the same for the variable gender. Click here, put -1. So you click OK. And then if you like, you can save. If you like, and just go there straight away and then run your frequency again, frequency counts for those two variables. Let's see what we're going to have. Can you see now? Simple as ABC. So SPSS now is not recognizing those values -1 as missing variables. Not recognizing them as missing variables. So you just do the same for all your variables that may have missing variables in them. Now, the last thing now is now that we already know that the percentage, like I said, of those missing variables it's a factor of whether we can use we can replace those series, those numbers with series mean or not. If the threshold is 5, the proportion must be less than 5%. So in the case of age, we cannot use it for it because the proportion is more than 5%. The missing number for gender is less than 5%. So we are going to compute that for gender. We're going to compute that now for gender. So how do you do that? How do you replace values with series mean? You go to transform, replace missing values. Replace missing values. And then, like I said, we're not computing that for age. Let us do it for gender. You come to gender, you click on gender, and then you can see a number of protocols there, or algorithms, if you like, or models. We have series means, we have a mean of nearby points, we have median of nearby points, we have linear interpolation, we have linear trend at points, and all of that. But then in this case, we want to fill it with series mean, which is the mean of the series for that particular variable. So if you pick that, the next thing now is for you to just say OK. Once you OK that, you then go back into your data view. Our data view, which is we have done it for gender. Okay, we have done it for gender. Yes, we have done it for gender, and that is what we have here. Okay, for gender may not stand clear. We may not easily see it clearly, but let us do it for qualification, so that to be sure that we can see that the glance transform, replacing missing values. Let us reset this. We want to do it for qualification, and then series mean. So the number of replaced missing values here, 2 for gender. Okay, this is the replaced values for gender that we did the other time. It has replaced those values now, the missing values now for 2 of the cases here, which is what we have here. Then the new one that I've just done, which is the for qualification here. See here, the qualification here, it has also replaced missing values in 3 cases. So if you go to our values, we would see it at a glance. In fact, it's apparently creating a new variable for it. It's creating a new variable name for it so that it can stay clear. So if you look at the qualification here, let's compare this qualification here, this one and this one. Where is the missing value? The missing value is here. So it has been replaced by the series mean, which is computed as 2.98. Let's see which other one. We have this one that's a missing value here. It has also replaced with the same value, the series mean, which is 2.98. We look at this one as well. Again, this is also missing. It has computed another missing, another mean, which is 2.98. It's also replaced. So now we now have our full data. Rather than you using this one for your computation, you're not going to use this one for your computation or your analysis. Now let's consider that gender as well. Okay, this is the one created for gender here, but this is our default. Our default here, yes, was -1, was -1.0. So it has calculated the mean here to 0.56. So, and that's what it's going to do for all the missing numbers. Let's look for -1 again, another -1 which specifies our mean, our missing number here, our missing value here. So the corresponding one generated for it now is now 0.56. So this is as simple as ABC. So this is the way it will do. You can identify your missing values and replace your missing values using series mean. There are other ways, other methods of identifying missing values and other methods of replacing missing values, but this is where we're going to stop today. We may not be able to take those ones today, but at least I think we should be fine with it. So let me give you the floor. In case you have 1 or 2 questions, I can unmute you guys now. Then you can speak. So if you have any question, let's discuss from what we have just done. So anybody? Do you understand the concept we have just painted? We have just treated. The first thing we did was to introduce ourselves to SPSS itself, the environment where we have the variable view and the data view. The variable view, like I said, it is where you're going to define your variables, all the variables you want to use in your data set, especially when you just get back from your field and you want to begin to code your questionnaire. So we have coded the questionnaire in our variable view. We have defined everything in our variable view. And within the variable view, we have a number of things. We'll talk about measures as well. Measures where we saw the scale, the ordinal variables, and then the nominal variable as well. And we already have a glimpse or a hint about what the variables that are represented by ordinal variables that are also referred to as scale variable, and those that are categorized under nominal variable. We explained them here today. So after that, we now went back to our data view, which is where you can begin to code in, capture your data, which you have captured from the field using the questionnaire, and that's what we have done. So what we're doing as well again was to identify the missing values. Identifying the missing values in your variables, we said that there are a number of ways by which you can have missing values in your data set. So which is what we discussed last week in our theoretical aspect of it. Now, in this practical now, we're not going to identify, we attempted to identify how to bring out those missing values. So we use frequency counts to look at how that is done. We also use another formula in the compute variable. We used all. You click on missing numbers and then you input it as your -1. We did that and we got it correctly. So we also said that when you now want to replace those missing values, what you have to do is to replace them. There is a formula, there is a procedure which will allow you to replace them with the same mean of that particular variable. So what we did was to replace with series mean. We call it series mean. It's an algorithm, it's a procedure which will allow you to replace all those missing values with a given number, the mean of that particular variable. So it will calculate the mean by itself and then replace it by all those. So we were able to achieve that. There are some other ways by which there's another method which time will not permit us to take today. And if you still have time, we'll take it some other time. Otherwise, I will allow you to go and investigate that. Is it will calculate the nearest, the nearest value for each one. Is that particular method will not use the same. We won't use the same value for all the missing variables. We will calculate by looking at the values within the neighborhood to predict the appropriate value for it. Let me also join you, Mr. Emmanuel, in sipping my water.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. So that one is by imputation, but we're not doing that today. So, but this is where we're going to stop today. If you have 1 or 2 questions,
all right,
we can trash that before we close.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm here.
I can hear you, Mr. Gumuku.
All right, sir. So when you finish formulating the data,
yes,
we used this morning for this class,
yes,
you saved it.
Yes.
I think I didn't get how you save the data.
Oh no, normally like we normally save in our Microsoft.
Actually, I went to the place where I say file, editing, and the likes. I have been trying to look at the place.
Okay, let me go
All
back.
I saw, yes.
Let me go back. It's just file, just like we have in the way we normally save in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint,
Save
all of that.
as.
It's the same, you know, file, save as, you know. Because I don't have anything in it. Let me go back to where I have values. Okay, file. Can you see that? Save as.
Yes, sir.
And then to bring you a dialog box where you can select your folder where you want your file to be saved. So once you select that, you just put it, give it the a given file name here,
Okay,
of your choice, and then you just say save. That's all. And then when you get back again, when you get back, you've already closed this, you are coming back again day after tomorrow, you want to continue to work, you just go to file, open data. It is data you want to open this time, and not your output. You want to open your data, and then you trace it back again to where you saved it. Me, I saved it in my desktop, and this is the name of my folder. Once I click open here, it will open and take me back to where I left it the last time I was working. So I hope that answered the question. Okay, any other one? Mrs. Dorcas Adeboju, are you there?
I think she
are
has
you
muted
there?
herself.
Or you are just unmute yourself and speak if you are there.
Hello, madam.
Okay, is Ifeoluwa Oyerole, I think is a male, Abi. Are you there?
Or...
Yes, sir.
Are you there?